Oh. Okay, everything's working over there. Good. Click the go button. Good. Okay, let's go ahead and stay on the clock and keep things happening. Okay, let's get jumping. Want to remind everybody that all the materials we do present are for training purposes. Traders should always paper trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. Past performance is not an indication or a promise of future performance. I heard somebody give a disclaimer like that one time, and they actually said, because we want you to do better than what we've done before. So I want to welcome everybody to today's session. And I know the skies are bright, the market's up, the market's surging, and you're probably sitting on some really nice profits. But at the same time, there's some currents going on that I'm sitting there wondering about. So amidst the whirlwind of market fluctuation, the one thing that I want to point out there, buddy, is a single pattern emerges, which echoes Mark Douglas's wisdom of simplicity in mastery, and that there is sophistication in simplicity. So welcome to Trade Your Way to Freedom. I'm going to be the guide, but alongside the astute Anil Parikh, we welcome Anil.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great to be here.
So I saw the stocks you've got picked today, and I know people are going to want to hang around and watch those, get those stocks. I've got a great one plus a leverage ETF. We're going to be taking a look at, and today's going to have kind of a nautical theme. So together we're going to embark on a voyage through the spiders, through the Russell, through the NASDAQ, and we're going to decipher the secrets that simplicity and success show. We're going to find out that the indexes right now, they're mixed. Did you know the Dow is actually down? But the other indexes are up. And the really good news from what I'm looking at, Anil, is that the small caps actually are breaking out. What do you think about that?
About that. That's nice for a change, huh?
Yes, it is. So the question as we get into today is, what the heck is driving today's market? As you can see, the Dow was up initially on the CPI data because it takes the pressure off the Fed. The other indexes are also up, but the CPI came in lower than expected or was within reason. And so and also Bitcoin surges past 4,700. Hey, by show of hands or drop a note in there in the chat box, do you trade Bitcoin or do you have positions in Bitcoin? If you do, just put a Y there. Over on the YouTube channel, please put a Y. And everybody said, no, no, no. Yeah, I don't trade it. I don't trade Bitcoin itself, but I do like the ETFs around it or the companies around it, like Mara, M-A-R-A. Yes, Mara. Jake does it. I mentioned Mara, I think last week, and also I mentioned Mara in some of my other discussions. And oh my goodness gracious, it provided a setup this week, and pow, it's already jumped up 40%. So it's a little bit extended, but it's getting ready to run into earnings. So those are CPI whispered of, tales of easing and hinting that the Fed now, it looks like it's going to ease maybe 4 times rather than 5 times. What else we got going on here? What else is shaking the market up? Well, the other thing is, yes, NVIDIA's one, but these aren't the Mag 7 you expect. What does that mean? Well, the Mag 7 has come into question, especially companies like Tesla that's wondering, should it stay on the Mag 7? Here is a list that came out that says this could be the new Mag 7. As you notice, they have a very heavy influence of AI. AI seems to be driving the market right now. Anil, have you noticed that? Is there any AI stocks that you're kind of like going, well, yeah, well, you said you're in NVIDIA.
Yeah,
Anything else?
other one was, I believe it was PSTG that I picked it up from Mark Chaikin. He claims it's going to be number one stock.
Okay. And I know I have picked up NVIDIA, not NVIDIA, but Palo Alto Networks and some of the other ones, CrowdStrike and those type of things are, the type of AI stocks. But we'll see what it has to hold. We'll see what the future holds. So what have I told you that mastering one pattern could unlock the door to trading success? Well, stay with us as this narrative unfolds. I think you'll be really impressed. So let's take a look at, well, what do we want to look at? We want to take a look, start looking at what's going on with the indexes. That's where we're going to start. So let's jump over to the charts. There we go. And on this is a very interesting chart, Anil. We've got our daily on the right, we've got our weekly on the left. Oftentimes, when prices are working within a channel, such as we have right now, when prices break out above the channel, that can be a huge warning sign. You remember in some of the IBD stuff talks about when a stock is going up in a channel and it breaks above the channel, it is oftentimes it foretells that we're going to get a pullback and in very short order. So that's when it's going to happen here. I don't know. We do not have on the S&Ps, we do not have a reversal signal per se. At the same time, though, we are reaching extremes on our momentum indicators, both the weekly and on the daily. I've got a negative divergence going on here, especially in the market in the TSI, as price action continues to push higher. How do we want to, the other thing that this market kind of reminds me of, Anil, is the 2004 market, where it seemed like the S&P and the indexes just kept going higher and higher and higher. They do a 2 or 3 day pullback, and then they launch higher. And so the ebbs and flows were really close, but it definitely talks to the surge of a higher watermark on the indexes. So on the S&P, that's what we're looking at. The other thing that I'm taking a look at is on the S&P and the NASDAQ, because they are weighted indexes. I think the top 10 stocks on the NASDAQ actually contributes about 50% of the dollar volume or value of the NASDAQ. I think that's the proper number. And so any hiccup on those top 10 could send the NASDAQ down, but we're not ready for the NASDAQ yet. So what do you think about the S&P, Anil? Like I said, I have nothing to do with this until we get some kind of either a pullback, but it can continue to push higher.
Now it looks strong on my triple screen system. It's signal on daily came on 11, that's November the 3rd, and it's still on.
Okay.
And it's nicely above the EMA 20. So far, so good. It's
All right.
strong.
So yeah, hi guys over on the YouTube channel. Glad you're joining us. And if you do, thanks for letting us know what you are in fact, trading over there. Appreciate that. So taking a look at the Russell as represented by the IWM, here's what I'm kind of, I won't say excited about, but the Russell has lagged the rest of the markets, as we know, for a large amount of time. I mean, it has basically been the redheaded stepchild, if you will, of the indexes. but it is finally broken out of this little triangle here. How far is it going to go? One could make a case where, well, it's probably going to get back up to the past highs here, about the 205 level. If it breaks that, it may get up to the 212 level. What are some of the things that could influence the Russell and IWM? Well, if inflation continues to fall and it becomes more clear that perhaps the Fed's going to start lowering rates, that could propel the small caps into a larger move. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Russell and IWM a little bit later today, but what I'm looking at, this is really a nice thing. As we see, we were in a trading range here. We came down halfway in the trading range. Now, oftentimes this is a very bullish sign. When it comes down approximately halfway or just sticks it, comes down, but then fails to go lower and starts to rebound, that is oftentimes a strong bullish signal. And if we break out of there, watch for it to continue to ramp up. We're getting some really nice moves on IWM right now. And so we'll see what happens from there. Curtis mentioned volume is dropping on increasing price. Yeah, we do watch that. And that's one of the, which goes along with the negative divergence, which kind of makes you go, you can't do anything yet, but you're ready for it just in case. Fortunately, we're not in the S&P. I don't trade it specifically because I would prefer trading the next entity that I'm going to look at, which is the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ performs on average better than any of the other indexes. And so I like to trade TQQ and SQQ on that. Those are leverage ETFs. And I put in a little bit different perception on this chart today, Anil, is I went back and I basically measured from the high back here in, just make sure I measured the right thing. No, hold on. I think I measured off of the monthly chart. I'll know in just a second. Go. And so, no, I measured off the, I actually measured off the monthly, which was from this high to this low. We have breaking out over 100%. Where's it likely to go? Well, if you're a Fibonacci, if you watch Fibonacci's, you know that the 1272 and the 1618 tend to be good upside targets once you've broken out of a range. And that's what we've done. And so that gives us an upside target on the Qs up about 127 right here. And that's 450.72. And if it breaks that, it increases the probability it's going to go on up to 504.16. Now, is it going to go straight up there? Are we going to get some kind of a pullback? I will be looking for pullbacks as it's done. It's respected very nicely, the 20-day and the 50-day moving average. So it wouldn't be surprising to see a pullback back into the 20-day moving average, or maybe drop a little bit lower than that. But right now, even though it is showing, it still has, the volume is coming off, it is still heading up with no signal from a candlestick perspective that it's going to basically reverse. So that's what we've got on the indexes, Anil. What's your thought? If I forgot to ask you what you thought about the TNA or IWM or QQQ. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, IWM, I think quietly and slowly coming up. That's what my system is telling me.
Okay.
It's an interesting situation where we have as a matter of fact, the daily signal came today.
Okay.
And weekly has been on, and monthly is looking good. So I think it's very quietly, without telling us, but steadily it's coming up.
Okay, so you think it's like what? It's just being sneaky?
It's pretty sneaky. As a
But
matter of, the monthly signal actually came last month.
okay. What about the NASDAQ and the Qs?
Now, NASDAQ is just looking very strong,
Oh,
actually.
yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So, well, the exciting part right now, and I'm getting really good comments about us doing face to face. And today's face to face, I think, is very a really special topic. And so let's jump into that right now as we pop over to here. Let me ask you a question before we get to face to face. Did you know that most of the big gains are simply following a system with an edge, like the autopilot trading system? But you know what? What I found oftentimes is some of the bigger wins that we have are bigger gains. It's basically just we followed the rules, followed the system, followed the routine, and we just got in the way because you can never tell which one of the stocks is really going to take off. So it's a matter of just getting in the way and then hanging on for the ride. And that's exactly what we've done. As you can see by where that chart is going, I'm really pleased. We're halfway through February and we're already up about almost 12% for the year. Now, a question that I'm asked often is this 11% or 12% off of just in particular trades, or is that for the whole portfolio? That covers the whole portfolio. That's how I measure my how well we're doing from a P&L standpoint. So, Anil, let's stop sharing and let's ask the question with Mark Douglas's map in hand. I know you like Mark Douglas as I do. He
Yep.
made a statement one time. He said, and we're going to share a little bit of secrets about the long forgotten, maybe simple strategies that Mark talks about. He says, he basically said that become a master of one particular pattern and master it. Master it. And so, Anil, is that, from your perspective, is that good advice, bad advice? What are the benefits if you take that advice?
As long as the strategy is good, and there are many different strategies that are good, because like you said, market gives opportunities. It just keeps on giving opportunities. And our way is to seize it. But as long as the strategy is good, yes, you can master that strategy, and usually it gets you good results. And Mark Minerini says the same thing. Says you don't have to learn too many things, just learn one or two and master that
Yeah,
and get the results. And in
yeah.
my case, it's been triple screen, and I'm digging deeper and deeper into it, and it gets very rewarding.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. We run into new traders all the time. And I think, excuse me, but engineers are the absolute worst because one, they're really intelligent and bright, but they figure, they look at a system and they go, I can fix it, I can make it better. Now, in some cases, that is the case, but you don't really need to do that to make a heck of a lot of profits by just following a very simple system. I think it was Leonardo da Vinci who actually said that never, turn your nose up at the sophistication of simplicity. And that's what I believe in. And that's why that resonated with me so much that what Mark Douglas said and what I've tried to do is in providing a clear and simple approach to swing trading success. And I think the the I think if a person runs into trouble with their trading, they need to start peeling back what they've added to their system to get back to the basics. Get back to the basics of what you're doing. So yeah, I agree with what Mark says, Neil. Uh, and does it benefit a person? Yeah. Because I think oftentimes traders, and we talked a little bit about this last week, traders oftentimes think that in order to be successful, they need more knowledge, which gaining knowledge may bring satisfaction, but the real payoff is in applying the knowledge, practicing the knowledge, doing your simulation on your trading. That's where fulfillment and success really comes from. And then the other thing is, this really hit me this week, Anil, is did you know that successful people typically never really bother themselves with the results? They don't focus on results. They focus on becoming a master of the process. So to me, that means keep it simple. If I'm going to master a process, I want it to be as simple as possible. So, well, there you got. Anything else, Anil, on anything else come to mind?
Yeah, and mastering the process, again, I picked it up from Minervini, and I'm digging further and further, is I think the basic understanding of batting average and risk reward ratio and know it continuously so that it's in your face performance review.
Right on, right on.
It just tells you where you are, and if you study it, you know exactly where you need to work on.
Yep. And Deming, you remember Deming
Yep.
said that what measured always improves.
Yep.
And so cool. Well, you guys let us know what you think about this little bantering that we get to do back and forth, because, between Anil and I, we probably have about 300 years worth of experience 300 years. Is that enough? In experience in the stock market, Anil?
Right.
At least that long. Anyway, but a lot about maybe probably 125 years of it is simulated. Anyway, thank you, Wayne. So let's get back and share, and we'll go on to the next section. And let me get back. There was a question that was asked that I want to answer. Is your autopilot portfolio meant to be 100% invested, or what partial allocation? Yeah, Reto, is it Rito or Reto? It can be 100% invested. Now that's non-margin. That's what I shoot for. But oftentimes I'm hitting when I'm fully invested, I may be at about 110%, but I don't stay there very long because I'm always in the process of also taking profits off the table. So I can, normally if I'm sitting at about 60 to 70%, that's, really good running speed for me. And so thanks for that question. So let's dig into what is next. Oh, we get to do stock picks. I love stock picks. And so, yeah, that's what we've got. Okay, let's go ahead and start our stock picking session. Okay, we have provided you some really great, with everybody, some really great stocks over the year, several years we've been doing this. And that is the same thing today. And we're going to start off with Anil's very first pick, which is FT, NT. There we go. Fortinet.
Yep.
So is it a buy right now?
The answer is yes.
Cool.
It's still, if you look at on MarketSmith, it's still in base, still about 13% to pivot. And I have weekly signals in there, and it's a strong fundamentals, SMR of A, accumulation distribution A minus, up down volume ratio 1.4, and earnings is out of the way. So strong stock in my opinion. We'll see.
No, are you going to buy it right here where it's at, Anil, or are you going to let it get down a little bit?
No, actually, I bought it. I backed off during the earnings,
Okay.
then bought it again after the earning. After
Okay,
it,
I gotcha. So that, yeah, I like that. And let me take a look at that. And does it have, oh, darn it. Trying to get this.
if you look at the weekly chart, it's still in base and
Yeah.
taken out.
One of the things I've been doing also here recently is just taking a look at the monthly charts. Sometimes what I find, like I'm not trading per se the monthly chart, but the monthly charts can oftentimes give you an indication of how long it's been in base. Um, and so this is looking really good because it's just rolled up, back up. It's going to be challenging these past highs, and I like it. And so it looks really, really good. So my stock that I'll be talking about today just went on a rampage this past week, and here's what it did. It did this. Now, a lot of people are going to look at this and go, well, Dennis, that's ARM. It gapped up and went crazy. And you're absolutely right. It did. At the same time, though, does that mean I forget about it? Does it mean I don't trade it? Or do I look at it and say, you know what? Because this volume down here, folks, is absolutely huge. This is the kind of volume. And while I don't spend a lot of time watching volume, this is the kind of volume that just will blow the doors off and continue to feed the uptrend. But I just have to decide, where do I want to potentially get into this trade? And so one of the things I've done is I put on a weekly chart. I went from the low here to the high here that provides us a Fibonacci, a long-term Fibonacci that has stronger levels of support. Now I'm looking for where might it pull back to? Well, my favorite targets is the 618, the 50, and the 38.2. Notice how those levels kind of coincide to this gap up. What do we know about gaps? Well, we know the midsection of the gap is the strongest level of support. So that puts us where right there at the 50% retracement might give us an opportunity to jump on board. But we don't know when it's going to get there. So how do I want to make sure I do not miss this opportunity? I put an alert, and I'll show you where I'm going to show you exactly where I'm going to put my alerts. I'm going to put an alert right here, just above 100. That's it towards the low of today's candlestick. I'm going to put an alert right here above the 618 slightly, and right here above the 50% retracement slightly. Let me give you numbers on that. 88.70-ish. $97. And then if I get back down to, let's say $107 will be my other alert. And that's what'll trigger me to then go take a look and say, okay, do I have a setup that allows me to buy? And I may go over to the intraday chart to figure out what my setup would be. Because this has a projection to the upside, folks, based on this last move. If it just gets up to its 1272 extension, that's 150 bucks. And then above that, crap, am I going to, there we go. The 1618, 176. Those are the upside targets, Fibonacci wise, for that particular entity. So what do you think about ARM?
Yeah, it looks pretty strong. Nice.
So do you think, what about the approach I'm trying to take to make sure I don't want to get left out on this, because I think it's going to go a lot higher.
No, I like your approach. I usually do not do this, but I commend you on this one.
Okay. And like I said, I'm not buying yet. I want to make it absolutely clear. Guys, I'm not going to put an order in. I'm just going to put my alerts in. If they trigger, and then during the final hour of the day, I'll go check it out. So next stock is Now this one pop up on one of my list also, Anil. So that is this. See how, folks, look at this over here. This is early in its move up. So what's the story and where are you going to buy it?
Yeah, I'm going to wait for a pullback on this a little bit. It's kind of extended currently, if
Okay.
you the weekly chart. But what really caught my attention is on the monthly chart, I got a weekly signal. And,
Ah,
and when the signals come on the monthly chart on a strong stock, they usually stay for a long time.
okay.
And
Gotcha.
that's the reason. So I won't wait too long, a little bit of a pullback, and I'll get in based on the monthly chart, even though on the weekly it looks extended.
Okay. No, that sounds absolutely phenomenal. It's a newer stock too. And I was throwing a Fibonacci on there, Neil, just to see where it might go. And so, but like I said, it looks really excellent. I'm gonna put one more Fibonacci on this just to get an idea. And when I get something that's in a really strong move like this, all the Fibonacci's tell me is where, because other traders are watching the fibs, and it tells us where it may slow down and pull back. And so that we can then potentially trade it. And so that's just one of the things I'm looking for. And I agree with you, Anil, it's worth waiting for a little bit of a pullback. I like it. So let's see, what else do we have? Oh, yes, one more. I told you I was going to talk a little bit about the IWM again. Well, let's take a look at TNA. TNA has broken out. It now is back above all of its, moving averages, which is a very strong move. It's broken out of the triangle. And from where it's at to the past highs turns out to be, let me give you a note on that. Okay, I'm up 10% there. To get up to these highs up there, I'm up 23%. If this turns out to be a longer term reversal, we could be looking at TNA over the next few months running all the way back up to the past highs. Now, is it going to get there overnight? No, it's not. But it may go into this ebb and flow type of thing. And let's say if we just dug up over the next few months, okay, that's a 200% move up right there. And the ebb and flow thing would be this, where we run up, come back, run up, come back, and run up, come back. That could be a 3-wave type of move up. And I'll throw on one more thing as something to think about is let's get a projection with the Fibonacci's from this low to this high, back to this low. Where might it go on this run? Right there to $51.30. And from where we are currently, that would give us a upside of about 39%. You did great, Jake. Yeah, you were the rascal, Jake, who got into it by calling an audible, and I really commend you on that. And so, Rito, the way we do the ETFs is we take our profits on the way up, and I'm not going to hold it per se. I would never hold it longer than 90 days. That's the way we keep those costs that you're talking about, the carrying costs and all that kind of stuff, keep them at a minimum. So excellent. So Anil, what do you think about TNA?
TNA, I said it has a buy signal again today, but it's been giving me on the daily chart buy, sell, buy, sell. This is the fourth time it has tried, and I think it's going to stick based on what I'm seeing also on the weekly chart.
Cool. I love that. So, okay. Simplicity is the key to brilliance in trading. This was the slide that I prepared specifically for today with what we were going to be talking about from Mark Douglas. And, in your quest for trading, consider these pivotal questions. Have you ever felt like you're just one insight away from unlocking consistent profits? What if what if you could take a trial on a system designed to streamline your path? The people who've been with us for quite some time, they know how streamlined the autopilot trading service is. Well, anyway, check out this particular opportunity. I will put a link. I will actually copy a link and put that down in the I might be able to put that down in the I'll put that in the description and also in the pinned comments. I'll also drop it in. There's what I'm looking for. I will drop that in the comment section right here, in case you are wondering. And if you are a Bay Area moneymaker or you belong to a IBD meetup group, just let me know and we can get you set up with a really nice discount on that. So, imagine the transformation you're going to have, how we've been repeating success. So seize this chance, start your 3-month test flight and navigate towards mastery with us. Your journey begins now. And there's the link. So, well, Anil, our journey that's the value of the monthly, what you get on a monthly basis, Fran. If you paid individually for each one of the pieces, all the training course, the training, the live training course we do on Friday and Monday, and each of the individual pieces. But you get in way below that. You know that because you're a member. So, so our call to action today is just, it's time to begin your journey. If today's Odyssey has sparked your flame within you, let us help you grow. I'll put an alert. There'll be a link here to take a look at a Tesla video that I just did that shows you some of the downside projections of where I think Tesla might go. And I think you'll find it very interesting at how cheap in the future you may be able to buy Tesla. So Anil, I hope that, for everybody, I hope that Anil and I have encouraged you to keep going on your trading adventure. And so until next time, aloha, God bless. Anil, thanks for joining. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. I always learn something from you, so thank you.
Okay, guys. So, hey, remember, the market secrets are reserved for those who seek simplicity. Will you be one of them? We'll see you next week. Aloha. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.